All right, I think I am live and hanging out, and just want to say, well, happy spring, right, to everybody out there. Hope everybody is doing really well. This is like kind of like the first week of spring, I think. I heard a rumor about spring recently, so since people were talking, I don't know where I heard it, somebody said that it was the first day of spring. You know what, I don't even pay attention, fellas, because it's like, it's still winter here right now. And I also hear from the pipeline, some of the fellas that I know, that some of you guys in Michigan today, major snowstorm, blizzard. Sorry to hear that. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. I hope everybody's safe over there. Apparently, my friend was telling me that it's like a whiteout over there. He had like a whiteout today. And, just, I don't know how much fell. I don't know how warm it gets there, if it goes away quick, if it turns to rain. I haven't had a chance to check the weather, but I do know that a lot of cool stuff is going on when it comes to the weather, and in some places it looks like winter is giving up its icy grip slowly. Yeah, TJ and I are still waiting for snow. He just says, still waiting on the snow. I think we're going to be waiting till next year. Unfortunately, isn't that horrible? Right? I did not get a chance to test out. I know he didn't, and most of us up here, we did not get a chance to test out our snow gear that we worked so hard on trying to get going. I actually just sold a snowblower the other day. I sold that really nice red one that I made. I think most of those videos are out. I only got $250 for it. It just didn't snow. And this fella, he wouldn't give me $1 more, right? He was adamant. He held his line. Another fellow offered me $150 for the bougie machine. That's how desperate things are. And people also don't have any money because the pinch of the BIDEN administration and the screw up of the banks and everything else. Well, it's just creating a difficult situation for Americans here, not to mention it's nice to know that that this administration is funding the pensions of people in the Ukraine. Meanwhile, our poor people over there in Ohio, they can't get any remedy over there just yet. They won't even tell them how bad the pollution is over there. So this is the messed up world we live in. We're going to have to deal with it. Weather is a little bit crazy, but I got a chance to do some stuff, which I'm going to show you guys in a few minutes. I got a chance to do a few things. Let's say I was busy Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And I saw the weather report, and it was for this week, to now, and it was just kind of getting just worse. What's up, by the way, Brett? What's up? What's up? Remember that commercial? You guys remember that commercial for What's Up, right? When What's Up got like real popular. It was like these older ladies, right? One's gardening, one's sitting down at a kitchen table playing something, and they're like chatting for a minute, and then another one walks in a room somewhere, and the next thing you know, they're all going, "What's up? What's up? What's up?" Like that was like 90s. What's up? Yeah, see, Brett's like, what's up? What's up? Yeah, that was crazy. That was when commercials were awesome. One of my favorite commercials was like, there was one where, I think it was for cough syrup or something. And you had a bunch of people lined up in front of the camera, and they start describing the type of itchy, scratchy throat you might have and how this stuff will help you, right? And one of them, a guy coughs out feathers. Another one coughs out flame, right? Another one coughs out whatever. So it's supposed to help you. And another one I like too is, I think it's the Cheetos or something commercial where they're in an office and like the head guy's in his like glass cubicle and they're all like commenting and he walks in and I guess he's got a bag of Cheetos or something, brand new bag, and they're all commenting about it. And he goes to open them up and it's like a cheese explosion. And the powdery, cheesy stuff just like splatters and all over the inside of the glass and everything just turns orange and you can't see the guy anymore. I would love to make commercials like that, right? To have like that kind of level of fun, in a commercial. You don't get much in terms of a spot to make anything. So most of us did not get our snowblowers going and fired up and put to task. So I didn't sell the bougie for $150. I was tempted just because it takes up room and it's nice to move inventory. But it's like, he says to me, because I got to store it. I'm like, yeah, if you own it, you got to store it. Duh. Like, what do you mean? You're going to store it till next year and sell it and make the profit, right? No, thank you. I'll do that, right? For $150, you can go. And that's not going to happen. You know, I get it, but you know what? He could still be fair about it and offer me $250 and still do that. And still store it and still sell it at the beginning of the year and double his profit. But people are going to start getting greedy because as things get tougher, right? And, you know, we're here, like in this world here of selling stuff and fixing things and everything. It's like the bottom of the food chain. By the way, fellas, it's cold out, so I got the heat on. I don't think you can hear it. Let me see. I'm going to be quiet for a second and look at the BU meter. Yeah, you hear it a little bit. I don't know. I'm not listening to myself. I can actually take this off. This is just for monitoring purposes. I don't have it set to monitor myself. I haven't fully tested it because I changed a whole bunch of things. So we're like at the bottom of the food chain, and I'm already seeing it. Like it's you know, people want a lawnmower, and you know, then what happens is they're out of cash because they've paid for everything else that has gone up. Let's see what Brett says. He says, remember the Dish? Yeah, I kind of remember the Dish Network commercial when they advertised their super big DVR. They called it the Hopper, but the guys doing the commercial kept saying it's the Hopper, the Hopper. Yeah. That was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah, some of these commercials are so awesome. So I'm going to play that video in a little bit. I put it together in the form of a video just to make it easier on everybody. This way I can condense it down. And what is this? I don't know. This has been in the refrigerator. Is this any good? I don't know what this is. Ooh, it's like a pudding cup. There's two of them. And as far as I'm concerned, this is similar to like when your customer leaves a machine for too long and then you own it. Well, as far as I'm concerned, this has been in the refrigerator all week. And as far as I'm concerned, and Christina, if you're watching or listening, you see this, T? Right? Is this yours? I found two of them in there. I left one. I think there's another one in there. It's been, and you're gone now. So you went over to your boyfriend's house, and I don't know if your mother left this. This thing, see, I think it's mine now, and so I'm taking possession. Possession is 9/10 of the law, and that I'm going to save in a little while. We're going to be eating that, not live on camera. So Red says, as long as it didn't morph into something like that resembles a chia pet. Well, I think I checked on this. Now you got me concerned. I checked on this a few days ago, and I'm pretty sure it looked like this. Now you got me concerned. It smells like pudding, right? It smells like I can't see that. See, and it looks like that might be graham crust down there. Ooh, right? Could be something like that. Oh yeah. We're just gonna put this back in there. It's in like a plastic cup, so it's a portion appropriately sized, right? So yeah, it's mine now. So we're at the bottom of the list, you know. Yeah, it doesn't look green. There's no green in it, you know, even though it's for St. Patty's Day. But wasn't it St. Patty's Day the other day? Was it? I think it was. We had the parade last week, which I never go to that anymore. I don't go to any. It's right up the block, too, and I just can't be bothered. It's too cold. It was super cold and windy. So I managed to glom some time last weekend working on stuff, and then Monday and Tuesday I got out. Monday was really, was nice out, but it was windy and it was a bit cold. And Tuesday, which you'll see in the video, it got really nice. By like midday, it wasn't t-shirt weather, but if you're pressure washing, doing stuff and everything, it was nice. So I'm pretty happy. Hopefully you guys had a little bit of a break. But checking on the weather, all I could see for the rest of the week, well into the weekend, was brutal. And it is today, you know. And yesterday was, I think it was raining a little bit yesterday. You know, I don't remember. I don't even know where I am. So I wound up working a lot, and then I had to take like a day off because I was exhausted, and then I worked a little bit more, and then I took like another day off. This is what's been happening. I'm starting to run out of steam because it's, you know, I'm tired. Like it's getting to be the end of the winter, and it's I guess, for most of us, a lot of us, it knocks the wind out of you after a while. You just want to get into the nice weather and get some nice days going. So I'm a little concerned, about the developments of the economy for sure. And I can see that people are getting to be tapped out. Meanwhile, right, the cost of these machines are going up, but yet we're going to be expected to drop or hold the line on our prices, that's just, I don't know how that's going to play out. Another thing I wanted to mention, I did happen to catch Chicanic's little video on that blue electric lawnmower that the guy kind of blew the blade adapter on. Anybody see that? Yeah, the Bud. What was the Bud TV ad? What's up, John? John Rhodes says, "What's up?" Was the Bud TV ad over here? It might have been. There was that crazy Bud one. Put a link in if you could find it. Drop a link in the chat. Let me know if the link goes in if you can find it. So, that was one where, was that the Cobalt lawnmower or something like that? It looked like a nice machine overall, but just look at how they dropped the ball on where the blade connects to the electric motor, right? It's just junk. That's never going to survive. And there is no replacement part. So this person paid a lot of money. She said it was an older person, so that might be fixed income, right? Trying to retire, was willing to pay good money for an electric machine, thinking that would be the right way to go, even though it's not, but thinking that, and I can understand how they would think that. And then they use it a little bit, hit something, because that's often what, I've wrecked a good machine doing that. We hit stuff. And he can't fix it, and he gives it to her, and she can't fix it because the part's not available. And she actually went on the phone, and you can kind of listen in. That's a good one. She called the manufacturer, and they're like, "No, we sell this, we sell that." Yeah, and see, Fred says, "I guess Greenworks actually made." You think so? Maybe they did. I don't know. I don't know anything about this stuff. I'm slowly learning. Not like I really want to learn, right? And my thesis is that you're going to see a lot of this. Will they work this out? Does it matter? I mean, if things are tight, and they're going to get tighter, which that's definitely going to happen, okay? And you blow $500, $400 and change on a machine like that, and you can't fix it, and you used it, a couple of times? I mean, it's like, I think this is like the beginning of the season where they are, right? So the guy used it a handful of times, twice. And what's the remedy? Okay, it can't be fixed. If there's no available part, it cannot be fixed. Then there's all the other potential issues, right? The idea is one thing. Eventually, you could make it beefier. You could make any machine beefier, right? Not that we haven't had issues in the small engine world like this before, but most of this stuff has been worked out long ago. I mean, they pretty much know, whether we're dealing with like a 5/8 shaft or 3/4 shaft or even a nice, 1-inch shaft. You look at some of these lawnmower engines, right? Especially the ones that have like a 3/4 shaft. Like if you had your choice and you went to like a guy like me and I said, you wanted to buy a used lawnmower, and I said to you, that one there is $150. But this one here has a little bit beefier, stronger motor, and it has a 3/4 shaft. The other one has a smaller shaft. This one has a slightly bigger crankshaft. It's less prone to bending. It's less prone to problems. It's a little bit of an upcharge, $175. The other one's $150. That's got like a 5/8 shaft. This one's got a 3/4 shaft. Here's one that's got a 7/8 shaft. All right, that's a little bit more money. Let's say I gave you those three options. Each one maybe, I don't know, $20, $25 more or something. Maybe there's a few other things on the machine that bring that price up a little bit. Keeping everything, let's say, $200 and in segments going down. Let's just say. If I gave that option, I think that would be a nice thing to sell, right? Like it's like a sell point. I think most of us, when we looked inside our wallets, a lot of us would go, you know what, I want the one with the bigger shaft. Because that shaft's not going to bend, the braid will break, the blade adapter will break. I'll just get another one. You know what, I needed a new blade anyway. Let me go pick up a blade adapter. I'll have my mechanic do it. I'll bring it over to the shop, whatever. That's the cheap stuff. How much is a blade? How much is a blade adapter, you might ask the person. Ask me, right? And I'll give you a price. Oh, okay. That's, you know, because you're thinking, oh, it's the worst thing that's going to happen to it. I've got the biggest possible shaft. I've got the best blade. I've got the, you know, really nice, solid blade adapter. I think you're in good shape. All of that stuff has long since been worked out. Some of the wheel systems and the adjusters, most of those. It's, hey, Rox, what's up? Rox says, hello, everyone. What's up? Welcome, Rox. I think a lot of us would go in for the beefier stuff. I'm working on my Honda again. I'm going to put a little video out, just a spring tune-up and a chat with, you know, about it. And because you know I love my Honda, right? And I want to shout out to a couple of people out there for giving me some really good ideas for videos. And I got to start writing this stuff down, okay? Because some of it's like good ideas. One of the fellas said something about, he went out. It was on one of my my Honda videos, I think. And he said he went out to buy, I think it was an electric lawnmower. I got to find this one because I was going to set this aside, but I forgot. Maybe I'll look for it during the video. And it broke. It broke right away, and he brought it back. I forget what he said, because he was commenting on my Honda HRX best damn lawnmower on the planet, you know, in my view, right? And now he's thinking Toro. He's looking at $1,000 for top-of-the-line Honda, right? The ones that are still around. See, Brett says, I've seen so many of these Troy-built... Oh, I gotta put my glasses on. This is for people that can't see the chat. I always like to read it. Besides, I just like to read it aloud anyway. The Troy-built TB110 with bent shafts by the slightest bump. They use the El Cheapo sort of Briggs with the 7/8 shaft. And the 7/8... Is that 7? It's 7/8 or 5/8 or whatever it is. I forget what it is. Well, 7/8 is just shy of an inch, so that's pretty beefy. I don't know. I'm sitting here right now and I can't think straight. You know, for some reason or other, my brain is in the toilet right now. It's like, not like the bad toilet, like not in the actual toilet. I gotta have some of this coffee. I just heated it up and it's like super hot. Is it too hot to... Whoa, that's a little hot. It's a little hot. Anyway, so I went into the house, just as a side note. Yeah, okay, that's in millimeters, right? Which, you know, I can't use, right? Because, anyway, went in the house, my doggy, he's just like, he's upset because my daughter's not around, and it's lousy out, and he's just getting cranky. So, I don't have any treats or bones, so I gave him animal crackers, right? Is that right to do? Like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm giving him, he's loving them. And I'm thinking to myself, there's something wrong about giving your dog animal crackers. What do you guys think? That's not good, right? It's like giving humans human crackers, right? It's something, I don't know. It just struck me as odd, right? And he loved them. I'm like, you know, doggy, you're eating animal crackers. Is this right for me to do? They're the big ones, too, like the big overgrown ones, you know, the really big ones. So, you know, like the cheaper ones that... Gingerbread man. Yeah, right? Like, we should not really eat the gingerbread man guy. Something's wrong about that. I generally don't. I don't like gingerbread. So what do we do about, like... You know, hey, Jamie... Jamie O says, hello. What do we do about all of this? Like, you know, my contention was, and I think I said this in one of the other live streams or somewhere, I don't remember where I said it, because I'm a big mouth, so I say a lot of things. My contention is that if this all goes south, and, you know, if we don't do something about it, right? What's going to happen? Like, nobody can earn a living selling electric lawnmowers and repairing them. First of all, if you can't get the parts, she looked at and put her time into it. She probably made nothing. Maybe she gave him a diagnostic charge or whatever. So now the guy's got a diagnostic fee and still a broken lawnmower. You can't make any money on any of this stuff. The big box stores are the ones that are going to be selling it. They will always undercut the price of a small shop trying to sell an electric lawnmower. You can't add any added value. How are you going to add added value? What kind of added value? When I was a kid, the local hardware store would sell lawnmowers. And, of course, my dad went there. And, let's see, Brett says, think about it, Arch. We eat chocolate, oh, God, yeah. Yeah, but that's bunnies, right? I mean, we don't eat like chocolate people. You know, the doggies eating animal crackers. You know, we eat bunnies. I mean, I eat bunny meat. I would eat bunny eggs if I had to, right? We eat chicken eggs. You know, just saying. So, what the hell was I just saying again? What the heck was I just saying again? So my dad would go up the block, and I remember seeing on the rack in the summertime and in the spring and everything, and the nice lawnmowers, lawn boys. And eventually I got a lawnmower from there, and I ruined it because I ran over an oil pipe in the ground and ruined my first beautiful lawnmower that my dad gave me, a nice, lawn boy. It was buried in green grass. And one of the things that they offered was, I think it was the first service was on them. You had to bring it back. Like if you bought it at the beginning of the season, you had to bring it back. I don't remember what the deal was, but you had to bring it back at some agreed upon time. It was on your receipt, and you got like a free oil change and whatever else, right? So they wanted to see the lawnmower because they offered some warranty on it, some guarantee or warranty. And that's value added. And they took care of, I guess, the oil change and an inspection and everything. So you simply brought it back in the agreed upon time. As long as you made it within that date, it was marked off, I guess the warranty would be on it, and you'd get some kind of free service out of it. That's how to do business. That's the right way. And then you can honor warranty, and you could see if it's being abused, and if it's a good customer that comes in for lampshades and 3/4 bolts and 5/16 and a piece of wood screws, right? You can say to them, look, I don't know, what are you doing, right? Maybe you're not taking care of this thing, or would you run over? So that's not going to happen. So that's already a problem because they chased all of those businesses out. And those of us that are left or whatever, like you're just, I don't know what the heck's going to happen. There's only so many blades. Like she mentioned that the biggest thing that she sells is blades and blades adapters. Yeah, but that might be the biggest thing that you sell, but you ain't living on that. I don't care how many of those you sell, right? That's not where your money's coming from unless you're independent and wealthy and maybe your husband makes plenty of money doing something else and he works every day. And I don't know, but you're not making enough money to run a business with real estate and a building, brick and mortar. You'd have to sell the stuff like that online and sell them by like the hundreds of thousands to make enough money. So this is a concern, right? I think that it's a big problem, and what are we going to do in the future? And the other thing too is that when they start to make these things illegal to sell, you won't be able to sell them. Like you may not be able to sell them used in some areas. So they'll be illegal first to sell by box stores and small independents. Sell out your inventory, and by a certain date, they're going to do that in California. Next couple of years, they're already phasing them out. So if you're an independent and you're the least bit on the books, right, you can't show it. And then, of course, if our dollar crashes and they come out with the digital bank currency, which is what they want, they'll be monitoring every sale you make, including the one on Facebook, Marketplace, and everything else. And the only way, you'll have no cash because cash will be worthless, which it basically is anyway. So everything that you buy and sell is going to be checked by something, an IRS or some online bank or some other governing entity. And they're going to see that you're wheeling and dealing in contraband effectively, because if it's against the climate law, if it's against, they're really going to crack down on this. Now Biden says code red on climate change, right? Well, that means, what that really means is not that the sky is falling. It's that it's time to unveil and unleash all of the laws they have prepared to control the commerce, right? Anything involving anything that uses energy or burns energy or whatever that they write in there, they're going to control it. That's what that really means, okay? And that ties in with the banking systems falling down and everything else that goes on. So they're going to you're talking about really controlling yet another industry. And of course, like I said, I think it was last time I was talking about this. Why did they hit lawnmowers, right? Why did they go for for example, Honda and making lawn machines? Well, because, right, if you see what's going on over in the Dutch, right, in the Netherlands, right, they went after the farmers, which is something like, I don't know, it's like over 60-70% of the land is owned by people farming because it's a tiny country and they're awesome farmers. Well, the farmers fought back, or have been fighting back, by driving their tractors and blocking roads and dumping, excrement on government buildings. What are we going to do, right? We're going to show up at a government building with all our lawnmowers and maybe put a little extra, oil into the gas tank and start them up and rev them up. And, we're all going to gather together with our lawnmowers and fight the lawnmower ban? I don't think so. Right? Or when the truckers up in Canada decided, like some of our truckers, they went up there with their trucks and tried to shut some stuff down, right, and make their point. Well, they were all the shit got stolen, their bank accounts got frozen, and the money got stolen. They took their trucks from them and they ruined them, right? And particularly if you happen to be, and I have to say politically speaking, which I'm going to get away from in a minute, but particularly if you happen to be a mostly peaceful protester or rioter in Oregon or Washington State a few years ago, when that guy said it's a mostly peaceful protest as he's standing in front of a burning building, and they burned down and chased out the cops out of their building. But if you're on the left, it's a mostly peaceful protest. But if you're on the right, well, you're a rioter, and of course, you're an insurrectionist. And so this kind of double standard, right, is all going to come together, and it's just going to choke the necks out of anybody doing this. So if you think that, if anybody young and thinks that they're going to do any of this stuff for a living and maybe retire on it, think again. Go find a job. Go find something else to do, because it's not going to happen. How long will this stuff that? Well, it's already started. It's already started, right? So Honda doesn't want to be in the lawnmower business because they've been getting sued their balls off, right? They're getting sued by GMOs and all this other stuff, and non-NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and by the government of the United States and by everybody else. So they've bailed. Lots of other people are bailing. And California is just destroying the industry, among many others. And many of them are just leaving just because it's crazy there and it's expensive. So it's already started. So how fast will this go? I don't know. We'll find out. My guess would be is I wouldn't buy an electric lawnmower. I would buy an electric weed whacker. I would buy maybe an electric hedge trimmer if it was decent. Yeah. Some of the electric tools are nice. Would I buy an electric lawnmower if I had a really small lawn? But now seeing what they're made of, what would be the point, right? If you hurt the thing, right, you can't fix it. You're going to be throwing it out. So anyway, let's see. I got to read up. I got to catch up with you guys. Let's see. Hello, Jamie. Oh, shop talk with Brad. Think about it, Arch. We eat chocolate bunnies and peeps at Easter time. Yeah. Jamie says box stores didn't have commercial push lawn boys in the 80s. What box stores existed in the 80s was carried mowers. Yeah. Well, commercial is another story, but commercial is already seeing the transition, and some of the stuff they like and some of the stuff they don't like. But those are expensive, and they're always more expensive. And how you justify that is by earning money. So typically, right, when you think about something like a commercial lawn boy, or my Honda is not actually the commercial variant. Mine is like the Luxo, home and garden variant, homeowner variant, right? I almost bought the commercial variant. I don't know exactly how much of it was different anymore. I haven't thought about it. But at the time, I hurt my back. I could barely walk. I could barely move. And my young daughter wanted to cut the lawn. So I bought something that had adjustable handle. You just twist these little buttons on the side, and I could raise it up for my height, or she could lower it to hers. It had electric start. Everything was nice and controllable. It had features that I like. So if I felt well enough, I could cut the lawn, or she could just easily grab the machine and adjust it, start it up, and go. Okay? And that is the stuff that the commercial machine did not have. So that's why I bought it. Yeah, the HRX 217. Yeah, that's mine. I love it. It's up on the table over there. Like I said, we're just going to go over a couple of things. Just a quick video, you know, because I like the machine, you know. I'm very happy that I bought it. Toro and Lawn Boy, I had Lawn Boys for years. I think for most of my sort of more adulting life, I had, oh geez, it just slipped my mind. Snappers. In fact, you're going to get a quick little glimpse in a little bit. There's some snappers hiding back there. And so I have that Lawn Boy that I went over like last year or whatever. It's got a crappy motor. We did the valves on it and I resurrected it, but the motor smokes. So I'll probably pop another motor on it. I just wanted to show in that video that we could fix it. That one is basically an industrial, you know, commercial Lawn Boy with a four-cycle engine on it, Briggs engine, right? But it's factory. I went through all of that and I checked it. I'm probably gonna part that machine and it's going to become something a little bit different. Like I have a whole bunch of Lawn Boy parts now, and I started staging some of those because I want to do another older. I have two really old commercial Lawn Boys, and they're beat, right? We're going to see if we can make one out of the two. But I would like to keep something running for myself because the Honda is getting older, and I don't want to be, you know, doing certain things with it and grinding up the sticks like I do and all the debris out there, and it beats the blades up fast. And anyway, I was just thinking, I have one that I use for now. I might entertain the Snapper as a backup machine, and maybe one day I would like to keep a Toro, right? Because I like Toros. I pick the ones that I do, and I make them nice, and people love them, so I usually just sell them because they sell so fast. I just sold a Toro already. I think I sold two Toros. Brett says, that's what I have, the Hydro Dry version. Yeah, I don't know if mine's Hydro Drive or not. I don't know. It's an aluminum transmission, you know, pulley driven. I don't know if they're Hydro Drive. I never bothered to look into it, and I'm not taking it apart. I hope I never have to. So I keep it nice and clean. Probably is. I don't know if mine's Hydro Drive though. That might have been a thing on the variant that was commercial. That might have been the difference. It's never given me a problem, so I'm blessed with that. And I sold one. I actually sold the one I bought, and I wound up with another one on trade. And when the guy offered me a trade on an HRX 217, I was like, what? You want it, you know, like a trade for like partial trade and whatever, and it wasn't running and all, and that's the one I have. It turned out it was actually in a little bit better shape than the one that I bought because my daughter and I were hard on it for a long time. So anyway, that's my rant, and I want to kind of move towards the video now. Let's see, Brett says, you can tell by the bale. Yeah, I have the orange lever. Yep. Is that it? Is that what denotes it? The orange, because I have the two controls on the side. I got the black one for choke and run and idle, and then I've got the multi-speed control with the orange lever that I could set it to any speed I want. So I love it. It's like driving a Cadillac and a truck at the same time. Oh, let me close this out. So anyway, like I said, so I was outside doing some stuff, and let's just take a walk through Archer's garden, right, and the lawnmower graveyard. And so I wanted to do some cleaning up, and there's an area excuse me, there's an area in the back. It's behind the shed. And that area has just been neglected. There's stuff back there. I want to say it's a couple few years. You know, it's been there, and yeah, it's a Hydro HRX 217 HZA is what you have. Nice. Yeah, I love it. It's just, you know, I think I've mentioned this too a few times, like, you know, because I could use whatever lawnmower, right? You know, as I get all these lawnmowers and I go through them and I test them out. And a lot of times when I'm testing them out, I'll use them for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, you know what, let me go get my Honda. I don't want to keep playing with this thing, right? It's meh, you know. Then fine, lawnmowers, there's nothing wrong with the Craftsmans. The Toros I like a little bit more, but whatever. I used them for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, you know what, let me go get my Honda. All right, let me finish up with my Honda, because I miss it, like, if I'm not using it. Yeah, it's like a Cadillac. It is. It's like a Cadillac meets like a truck. And the funny thing is that most of the time when I'm driving it, right, I'm not actually driving it. Instead of standing behind it, because you don't, you know, once you pull the levers in and everything, they don't require any hand strength, you know, like some lawnmowers do. Like, this is not a fatiguing machine. And a lot of times I'm actually standing to the side of it. I'm not actually behind it. I just kind of guide it, like standing over like this and just kind of making it kind of go. It wants to go where it wants to go, and I just sort of just let it do its thing. The only bad thing about it is because my property is long, it's decent size where I live, but it's narrow. And then my ex-wife wanted to make, because it's very rectangular, she wanted to make like areas where there were curves and stuff. And then she did this one thing with a compound curve, and where it comes around and it goes in and it comes back around again. And I said to her, I said, that's just going to be a nightmare, right? You know, to cut the lawn around it and negotiate around it. She doesn't care, because she never cut the lawn, really. So why would she care? Okay. You know, when you're doing it, like, you got to think a little bit more practically, right? You know, especially like a tight sort of kind of curve, right? It's too much. So when that machine is so heavy, even though the body is Nexite plastic, that when you have to do a sharp type of thing, you do have to lift it up. It's rear drive, so you can't do the front end dance that I show a lot of my customers. You have to kind of pick it up by the heavy end or whatever, and you kind of negotiate around. It's a little heavy for that. You don't want to be doing that all the time, because it's heavy. Yeah, it is a Cadillac. So let's see. Let me get ready. So this area that I cleaned out is, it's like where lawnmowers go to die, right? If there is a place that I have, right, in the garden for machines that go to die, I think this is the place where this stuff goes to die. So I put a good dent in it, and I thought, well, I need to clean up, and it might take me a couple of weeks to do, because I know the weather and I didn't want to overwhelm myself. But let me see if I can get some parts machines, start a pile of junk for my buddy Juan, and maybe I can, you know, glom a couple of machines to put together and save them before they meet their, you know, their end in the filth and the muck and the mire. So let's just go take a look. Let me set up for that. Let me see if I get everything right. Yeah, Nate. Well, you know, now that the days are getting a little bit longer, I have a little bit more time. It's a little windy, a little cold. I pickled a few things off of this. That's trash. And this guy dug out. This has been sitting back there for years. So it's got a bag, which is cool. It seems like it just needs cables. I might have the cable for it. I probably do. These are pretty decent. Got a Honda motor on it. So I'm going to clean it, clean the bag for it, put it to the side. Found a couple of bags laying about. One of them happens to fit on this. So I'll clean this up tomorrow. Clean the bag. I got another bag to clean. So Husky Varney. It's a little beat up. I'm going to use low pressure. I don't know. It might have a hole right here. It might. That kind of pimply is usually indicative of hole. And I don't sell holes. I found a bag, too, for this one, too, laying in my junk. You can see how brutal the bag looks. We'll dust it off. Cables to beat.
It's got crap all over it, raccoon shit. Pulled these guys out. This one has a bag. It's black. It's heavy duty. Might be beat. Just give it a clean, but it has a bag. That's a nice one, right? That's one of the next ones up for... It looks like everything is there, and I think the cables still work. They probably need to be lubricated. May have a bag for it, so that's one I want to focus on. This is nice, right? This customer left me because he gave me money for everything and whatever, and then COVID, and then he disappeared. And I tried to contact him, and he just never... Same guy with that nice tractor over there. It's mine now. It's been like 2 years, 3 years. German lawnmower. This one's got wheel issues. We'll let this one kind of kick around. The bag is kind of borked. Probably parts, right? I'm probably going to part this now for the front wheels because I'm running low on those front wheels. And I don't care much about anything else. These two, this one's missing carburetor or whatever, but the body's nice. This one, the body's meh, but it's decent enough. And these are the cheapoid ones. Actually, I have another muffler for that. You might want to steal the better muffler. We'll see. I think we'll clean this one off and see if we can get it to run and just put it up for a few bucks. These are the cheapy mowers that I put up for people that like renters and stuff. They don't want anything nice because people will steal it. It's another one, basically the same thing, just needs a cable. I think I have a cable for it. Let's go peek in here. I got to get to this. This has been here for years, right? I don't know even what's in here. So I started to make a dent in it. Got a collection of cheeseoid mowers. More older stuff. We got an old Jacobson over there I want to get going this summer. And we have to get to back there. There's a rototiller frame, which I have an engine for, and a chipper. Got to get to that. We got some extra scrap junk over here. Probably throw most of that out. Right? I'm putting together... There's another one of them Troy builts back there. We might want to take a look at that. That might be a better candidate. Snapper. Right? There's a couple of nice snappers. There's another nice potential John Deere. So some bodies that could use some motors. Probably have a bunch of cheeseoid motors laying around. That's why I say, you know, I'm going to work from this area for... Excuse me, I almost just threw up in my mouth. Large. Sorry, fellas. This one, I hate these. These are the rear drives. That one's got beat tire and everything. I'm going to probably rip this one out, grab some parts off of it. It's a mess, right? So that's what I'm kind of doing today. Let me get to it. Oh, look, here's another Husky Barney. Same kind of thing. I'm going to pull that one out. It's got a crawler on it. As Terrell says, they look like they're terrible engines. So we may have a better motor for that. We can steal and swap. It's going to rain the rest of the week. It's only Monday. And so Tuesday, tomorrow is the day to test out my pressure washers, do a little cleaning back here, go through some stuff, pickle some parts, part some stuff out, clean a few things. I'll keep you guys posted, give you guys the updates on a little closer peek at some of this stuff.
I am Cornholio.
Here's a little bit better look. Just wiped it off. Not bad. I can tell you that the blade is on upside down. You'll see it in a minute. I mean, I can tell you that. You're not going to believe me until I show you. Yeah, and we take off the top, pull the blade, the wheels are loose and whatever. That's fine. We fix all that. It looks good. This is a good one. Got different wheels on it. They're white. I wonder if I could get the wheels from my supplier. We could do another wheel thing. I'll ask him. See? Told you. Right? Here's the wing. Here's the wing. So it's got a little bit of spalling down there, but the nozzle will blow it apart. Pressure washer. Gonna want to pull this out too, right, to get in there and clean properly. And the other side's ready to go. So I'm gonna pull this out, and put it over on the clean line when I'm ready. So this wheel is wobbly all over. This bearing is probably shot. Yeah, I'd say so. So I probably have another one. I usually do keep some of these. I'll go look. If not, we'll get it clean. We'll put it to the side, because either if I have it or we'll come across something soon. So we'll get this thing cleaned up. I think you could probably see it. This might be our parts machine. Somebody borked this, jammed the blade on there, probably with an impact or something, and didn't bother lining up the locators. This little star sort of spider locating thing. That's very common. This might just be, a parts machine for me, like, because it might have good cables, it has some good wheels, We'll see. All right, that's why I say I don't get too married to any one of these, you know. Why replace that when I can just rip one off and take everything else off and grab all the goodies? But to make it a little bit cleaner, we'll have something to work with. Yeah, see? That's a hole. Okay, parts machine. But we have that other one. So I'm going to go bring this right over and part it straight away. You got good tires and nice blade and potential motor. We have a bag that we know fits this style. So this one I'm going to part next. That's so easy to do. Just blammo everything off. And so we got a potential Honda motor to put aside for something. These almost always come off. A lot of the Briggs, they don't. The bolts snap. But I've never really seen that with a Honda, and it's a Honda. So I probably won't even clean this. I don't know. We don't know if the carburetor is any good. We don't care. Right? If we need a motor, it's all here. I'll put it inside, and there's no point in cleaning it now. And the rest I just throw out. Now, sometimes what I do take, I might take the wheels. We'll see, because they're Husky wheels. A lot of times I take these guys, right? Because they always, go bad, and you have issues with them. So whatever ones come off. I don't fight them. Plus, those are gray knobs. If I can get a pair of gray knobs, I have a box of this stuff, but I go through them. All right, I got up this Husky varmint. Just has a bad ignition cable, which I'll either replace or, I don't know, we'll see. I could just slide a new cable in it. The tires are good. Yeah, this one's in the light. No, I'm in your light. I know, we're outside. So that's half the battle, right? The gears are good. Everything else looks good. Needs a good bath. Let me flip it over and take a peek on the underside. But Honda, got a little bit of nesting going on, but that kind of oxidation, that's Mices. But it should clean up. We'll have to take the coil off and get all that cleaned. Sorry, fellas. Correction. This one says Arians on it. There's an Arians glow up raised emblem on that. And then it says it over here, too. But same crap, right? But, I think it's worthy. Let's get underneath. Uh-oh. It's missing a blade and a blade adapter. See these white things? Those aren't just spiders. I think those are those spigots, the spider crickets. Those things are nasty. Those are like probably their eggs. We're going to annihilate that. But, not too bad overall. We're going to get this back plug off, same as before, and put it on the line. And, we'll see what comes of it, right? I'll do a whole bunch, and I just kind of start looking at stuff. And the belt seems a little bit beat, but, it might run up. I think this is the Husky. It looks the same as everything else. The body's in decent shape. It's just like that black Craftsman for the most part. All right, we'll get underneath, but I already looked underneath there. The blade is borked. This one stinks. This is the one that had the horse crap or raccoon crap or dog crap all over it. It stinks. But it's actually in pretty good shape overall. All right, might clean up nice. This is one that you're going to have to put SuperClean on. Look, see? It's got the Lowe's Service Advantage. Yeah. Yeah, buy that. Call that number, 1-888-877-LOWES. Yeah. 24 hours a day. They're ready to help you out. Yep. Okay, so we can see the gear is okay, and you can probably see some of it, but this part is like rust welded to the shaft. And then over here, it doesn't look as bad, but that bearing looks pretty nasty, and it did kick up some gack into the gearing. So that's money, and this is something that may just be junk, right? It may just be parts. That's just what it comes down to. You get to a point where there may be too many repairs to do. So we may just want to wash off this motor and grab a few things off that we can. That you're going to fight with that to get that off. You could probably get it off. I mean, I have in the past. But, she needs cables and everything. So this might be something, again, like I said, we may want to just pop this motor off. We'll give it a wash. Then maybe we'll pop the motor off and call it. And maybe the carburetor is okay. It could be a dead motor. It might have been open to the weather. So this one might be too far gone as well. But I'll give it a quick clean and we'll find out. So here's one of your usual piece of craps, right? Typical. The body is kind of beat. And you can see underneath it in a minute. The motor might be okay. We can check the motor. But just as an example, right? because that body's crap. You don't want to use that. And look, with all that crap going on underneath, that could be a problem. The blade looks like it might be reusable with a good sharp. Pop that motor off, right, and throw out the rest of it. You know, give it a quick wash just to make it easy to deal with. And throw that motor on here, because this motor, look, see how that's spun on there? And that blade's okay, but this motor is the one that's missing. It's the old Briggs motor, so this is an older one. But the body's decent. She's missing, you know, carburetor and tank and all that. Just rip all that off, clean it all up, right? And pop this motor on and sell it for 50, 60 bucks, right? Throw a little oil in it and you're done. You quick tune up. And these carburetors usually come back, right? Because they can deal with the alcohol a bit better if the motor's any good. So what we'll do is we'll clean it off. I'll take the covers off of it and everything. We'll get these things kind of cleaned up a little bit. And I'll test that motor real quick. And if it has some compression, we can clean it and slap it on there and throw out the garbage. I always like to take all these little parts, right? Because these MTD styles, something's always falling off or whatever. So I keep those. And then we have this one over here, which is, you know, fairly clean, and that's a simple Briggs motor. And if it's any good, we'll take a peek in it, and we'll put that one out. Another $50 mower. Like I said, some of the people like that stuff. They don't want to spend any money. They're good for rentals. And I think tomorrow we'll get to this one. So we're going to be able to get through a lot of this stuff. It's getting late, so I'm going to stop. All right, this is the one I actually have the bag for. It's Troy built. The tires are mint, right? The gears are good. It needs cables, but also the handle is broken. But everything is good in here. It's not even that rotted. You know, everything looks pretty good. This wheel's good. I got the plastic cover off. I have another handle. This is a Craftsman style, so it's just, you know, MTD, Troy built. Who knows? Same kind of design on the top, because this one's a little borked. So this is like Craftsman style, right? We'll have to find out, you know, we'll see. I think this one, we'll get the bag cleaned up, we'll get this thing cleaned up, and this one is probably the one that is worth the effort out of all of the junk, you know. So these are over here for right now, and they'll just get cleaned. And I don't see, only one of these I see really, I think it's this one is the one that really probably could, I think that's your best probability on that. And this one we'll see too. That one, I think that one's a little too far gone. There's a little too many things wrong with it, trying to fight with the transmission and the wheels, and it's a different kind of wheel. All right, I'm still going. It's nice out. It's getting late though. All right, last one for the day, right? Like the other black one, but this one, these are not loose. We'll have to see if we can get them working again. The tires are worn, but let me see if I can get tires for this one. Ew. Oh, God. How does that even happen? This one's missing a blade, but the star here, this locator, is in good shape. It's pretty nasty because it's been sitting forever. That's why I'm going through these. I think they'll clean up pretty good, and we'll find out. And get the baffle off. You know, six and one and a half dozen of the other. And I often say, you know, you want to be careful. These, when they get rusty, they can be difficult to get off. So you want to avoid that. And a lot of times when you see rust like this, if you try to pull those bolts out to capture the motor and get the motor for yourself, all it takes is one bolt to break. Forget it. It's not worth trying to fix at that point. Especially not for me. So I try not to take the motors off unless I have to. Or unless I'm throwing everything out, and I'll give it a shot. And if it breaks, then I take what I can and throw the rest out. All right, so I went to take the baffle out, and that's really rusted. Like, I can't even get a wrench on it, right? Socket on it. And that one looks borked too. So when you start to see stuff like this, then maybe this becomes a parts machine. That's why I say I throw a lot of these, you know, I throw a lot of these at the washer, and kind of, you know, whatever sticks, whatever hits the wall and sticks, it's pretty crusty. But it's ready for a clean, and then we'll try again in a little bit. You know, tomorrow we'll see. I see more rust on it. I mean, these are easy to paint because they're black. But, you know, this again, where you want to start seeing, is the motor any good? Can you get the motor off? You know, I'm glad I'm doing this because I'm finding a lot of parts-oriented machines.
The next morning.
All right, fellas. Second day of spring, official day. And it's actually nicer than yesterday. There's not as much wind. It's just a light breeze. And so it's time for a little bit of more gardening, right? We got the garden, starting to put our plants in, right? See, a lot of them have been in since last year, right? And they're growing nice, right? So anyway, so it's time. I got some stuff laid out, right? We got my machine over here. We're going to clean off my HRX. I just charged the battery. And so that was when last year or 2 years ago, whatever, I put the electric charging system in it. So just to charge, and starts right up. Just the stock charger overnight. This is the one I found. We're going to go through this one a little while. We're going to use a pressure washer to clean a pressure washer. And a lot of these guys here, there's like from yesterday, okay, been through some of that already. Got some parts laid out. Got my first bag up on the bag table. And this is the one we're going to try out, okay? So I just purged everything. And we're going to do this one first with a little bit of cleaning. Now, we've already tested this engine, and we know, and this is an engine I worked on, and this is a pump that I know works, but I just changed the oil, and I mated everything up, mounted it to this frame, very happy with it, and we're going to run it up with the wand, which is around here somewhere, that's associated with it, get everything going, and just, run it for a little bit just to clean up some things, and then everything should be fine, just to check, and then we're going to wrap it all up, and I'm going to take some pictures, and this is the one that I'm going to sell first, okay, to recoup, some of the investment and everything in what I'm doing, and just a little bit of profit because I invested a little bit in the other machines that I'm working on. So this is how we get back some of that money, throw a few bucks in our pocket, and also gain nice equipment. And in this case, right, this should be worth maybe a couple $100. This is a really nice residential semi-pro machine, right? This is on the edge of pro. Real close. So you could do some side jobs. You can work on your house, work on your car, do your lawnmower thing, whatever it is that you feel, sidewalk, deck. This should be a good machine when we're done. And so let's just go take a look at it real quick in action. Morning, guys. Okay, that was a success. The pump leaks a little bit internally. It could use a rebuild, but you're looking at $100 in parts, maybe a little bit more, and then the labor to rebuild it. But I'm going to sell it the way it is, and if somebody wants to rebuild it, they can, right? But for the price that I'm going to sell it for, I think it's a great deal. I've got another wand. I put the quick disconnect on. I replaced the stainless steel end. We got the disconnect on the other end of it for the different fittings, the nozzles. This is an adjustable pump. It was actually a little too high. I actually had to turn it down in that sequence because it was kind of hitting things. Oh, lunchtime, gotta go, coffee truck. All right, these two cleaned up okay. I didn't do a lot of work on cleaning them because we're not sure yet, but I think I have an idea which one's going to be the parts machine. It's the one over there on the right. And so I got it cleaned up a little bit more back here, but I really didn't focus on this. Let's go take a look at the junk pile. Well, there's not much here yet, but we got somewhere. So this is the Husky. I tried to get the motor off, and usually the bolts don't break when you want to get at the engines, Honda engine. But what did happen was the way the bolts are designed on the nut side, right? They're kind of rounded, and I put the impact on it, even on low, and it would just literally... The socket would just be blammoed right off. So there's no getting this motor. This is it, right? So junk. That's junk. And we put a dent, though, back here. So another session, I think we can get in here and maybe rake out and suck up some of these leaves and reorganize it and probably put a bunch of stuff back in. That is going to be on storage. So this is like the tomb. And yeah, a lot of this stuff is the simpler, cheaper stuff, plus a couple of goodies. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll get to that. It's getting lousy out. It's going to start raining. All right, the Arians came pretty clean. And after cleaning it up and going over it, I think this is the one that I don't think it's going to need much. We'll get on that. This little guy is a $50 rig we'll throw together. That motor I checked out It's okay. We finished up the Craftsman. I cleaned the bag, so I got two basically the same Craftsmans, except one's a high wheeler and one isn't. We got this guy cleaned up, right? So we'll be starting that soon. I cleaned up my new hose. I just hung it on there for now. I also cleaned up the hose that goes to it. It's back there. We got to get it apart. All right, so I put on. This is a different charger. This is like your trickle charger, maintainer. This one actually does pretty good for a lot of the maintenance around here. I got it from my friend Liz. It just kind of came pro bono with a car I got from her. I just kind of rigged it up for now. It's been on for about 48 hours. Let's test it out, right? Let me put everything back, and I want to put this on my van for a little while, and then we'll throw it on that. Even though it's been charged, we'll just throw it on there because we're going to take off the big snow thrower because I didn't get to use it. So, well, in a way, it's good because here we are spring. It didn't really snow much. So I'll throw that on tomorrow. All right, we're all set. Now, Zippo had mentioned to me, maybe you want to look for some batteries replacements for the battery pack, because that battery pack is old now, you know, and it's been abused. And I said, yeah, I've been looking into that for quite a number of years, and they just keep getting, you know, the batteries keep getting better. So that'll be another project for another day for sure. You know, I expect to get maybe another season out of it, hopefully. All right, full choke. Yeah, we're going to look into that, and we're going to make our own battery replacement that fits in this box. Hey! Yeah, that started nice. Oh, she's running good. All right, we got to do an oil change. That is so nice. We'll get up on the table in a little bit, and we'll do an oil change and check a few things out. See you guys in a bit.
Nice. Well, that was fun. It was a couple of days outside, and I did put a pretty decent dent into everything. I think I got a lot, like the garage is full, and somebody just hit me up. I gotta respond to them. They want to buy one of those Craftsmans that you see in the background. They want something about tomorrow morning, which would be fine. I don't know which one they want. Let me see. Just real quick. So yeah, here's something interesting, right? So this guy, right? He hits me up. He goes, his name is Stanley, right? He hits me up on another ad. He goes, "How much to fix my transaxle on my Troy-built pony lawn tractor, 42-inch, or do you got a transaxle?" Could you be any less vague? Right? And I'm like, how do you even begin to answer that? And I get a lot of that. And I think I wrote back to him, there is no one answer. The simple answer is over $1,000 for a new one, then installation. Yeah, because, you know, not to mention, what else does the machine need? So if the transaxle's screwed up, have you done a tune-up? Any maintenance to it? Is the spindle shot? The blade's crap? Have you ever lubricated it? Is it, you know? I said, how do you know it needs a transmission? Right? What model is it? Okay. How old is it? I may have a used part, but I would need to see what you have. What are the symptoms? He just writes back, forget it. Right? You know, I get a lot of that, right? You're going to get a lot of that. So let's see, Danielle, tomorrow morning, can you, all right, tomorrow morning, can YUO. I don't know what that means. Can yo, you know, shoot a text when you're ready, right? You know, that's all I can say. Shoot a text when wait, Y-O, how do you say it? Yeah, let me do that. U-O, when U-O, space, ready. Okay, there you go. All right. There you go, bro. Yo. Does spell check work everywhere, or is it in some places it only works a certain way? Is it Danielle? A lot of these people I notice, like, they don't even have They don't even have like a Facebook account of their own. They use their girlfriends, or wives, right? I've seen that a lot, right? And that's just, I guess a lot of guys just can't be bothered, right? I don't know, or maybe I don't know. Who knows? I don't even want to think about it because some people hurt my brain, right? So that's getting too deep, and I don't want to go there. Oh, I see. It's supposed to be your, right? As in you are, or your, right? Me, mine, I mean mine. Thanks, Brett. I just like fooling around, right? Because I'm just so hypercritical over certain things. Like, just like certain things like peep me out. Like if I will spell something incorrectly, like, you know, and I do this with my friend Liz a lot, like or even my daughter, but particularly my daughter. I will go out of my way to spell something really absurdly, right? So, and I have to train the phone spell check to allow it. So now it just lets it go through. And I have a lot of fun with that. And she gets a kick out of it too, because she tries doing it now as well. Like she likes it because it's funny. So I got a lot of stuff done, and like I said, I got the Honda up there. I'm just going to go over a couple of things just to kind of, you know, check it over. And it doesn't really need an oil change, but it's a new year, you know, try to get caught up on all this stuff. Slowly pulling dirt out of stuff. I want to go over the tractor one more time. I picked this stuff up. Hold on, let me get it. Where is it? Can I reach it? I don't know where it is. What did I do with it? I found it. All right, hold on. I should have got it before, but, you know, I wasn't thinking about it. Hold on, let me fix. Sitting on a bag of ice because my back hurts. Well, welcome to old age, fellas. And you break your body. You know, doing stupid shit when you're young. I was watching one of the guys I watch. He's like a homesteader, right? And he's like talking about how like he lives like in the middle of nowhere up in Canada, and they're like snowboarding and everything. And he's really independent guy. And he talks about how independent he is, right? And you know, he's a pretty heavy duty guy, and he hurt himself snowboarding pretty good too. And a lot of these guys, like if you write them like in a live show or whatever, they won't read your stuff because there's a lot of people commenting, and the only way they'll read it is if you put a super chat in. You know, you could put like $1 or whatever, but you got to do a super chat. But one of the things I wanted to say to him, like, dude, you need to change your ways, bro, because if you want to be a father to your children and a husband to your wife, you're not doing it from a hospital bed, and you're not going to have a homestead where you support everything and you're off-grid living if you break your back. And I had to learn that the hard way, right? You are not a macho man. You are only a man, and you will break very easily. And you may, I don't even know how I broke my back. People ask me, well, I was quad racing. Did you fall? No, just basically crippled myself. You know, and then they're like, well, how did you wind up with diabetes where you almost died and it knocked the teeth out of your face? How did that happen? Stress. Yeah. You know, there was never any like one moment in time where you wake up and you're like dying, right? Sometimes it's just crap happens. And here's an idea. Don't tempt fate. So I picked this up. I just got the basic Rotella 15W because mostly for the tractor, because that old motor, you know, it's a Kohler Magnum, and one cylinder is really down on power, you know, not a lot, but I could see it in the spark plug. It's got like all of the nutrients you want, right? It's nice. And I have another one too. I forget which one I picked up. I'll get it in a minute. Now I'm too lazy. I picked up another one. This is just for like my shit. Okay. I use the cheapest garbage oil I can get. I use like Amazon's Best. All right. The Amazon Best. Why? Right? Because most of the lawnmowers that I sell and stuff for people, not for service. And if somebody wants something for service, I'll put it in. But for the stuff that I sell, The stuff that I sell, people buy stuff and I don't sell it for a lot of money. And they'll ask me, like, how long can I get out of this? I'm like, probably longer than you'll want it. You know, they're not going to change the oil. Right? They don't, you know, they're going to run it to the ground, just like the way I got it. Somebody ran it to the ground, and now I'm going to sell it to somebody else. They appreciate it when they get it. They like it. And then they're going to go run it to the ground. You know, let's see. What is Brett? TJ laughs his ass off. Brett says, we rely so much on Siri and Alexa these days. I don't. I won't allow that stuff. First of all, it's spying on you every second you get. Well, everything is spying on you. Like, they listen to everything. I remember one time I was talking to a friend of mine on Discord. And we were just joking around, right? And I've often said this, like, they listen to everything, right? Well, who's they? I don't know. Like, everybody now. Like, they sell your information. You if you're not buying the product, you are the product. So we were joking around about women's feminine hygiene stuff, you know, like saying dumb guy stuff like, what are you on your period? What are you know? Well, the next day, the both of us, right, got ads for women's feminine hygiene products. Because since we were talking about it, they figured it would be a good time to market. You know, it's wild, like the stuff that I see. So no, I'm trying to move away. Even this thing, like if I say something, I'm a big mouth. So if I say something, I want to put this in a cage somewhere, right? And just hide it. Because there are so many things that you can say right now that you will get kicked off of YouTube. They'll ban your account. They'll freeze you and lock you. They'll censor you. And you might say, well, they can do whatever they want, right? They own it. Well, yeah, absolutely. But it's one-sided, okay? Like I was saying earlier, you could be the guy that's the news anchor, the news guy, standing in front of a burning building and say it's a mostly peaceful protest for one side, but then when the other side does it, it's you need to arrest everybody. In fact, now I understand the administration is going for yet another 1,000 people that happen to be up in Washington committing sins, right? Because they were simply there and they were, you know, going to a rally, right? So they'll make those people's lives miserable. And you don't want Siri and Alexa and all this stuff, right? You really want to get away from that. Unfortunately, it's the intent isn't necessarily bad, but when you polarize a government and you polarize its people, which is what they're trying to do, then it becomes a problem. Because then if you happen to fall, if this time you happen to fall on the side where it doesn't matter, that's fine. But once one side does something irresponsible with the technology or with a law, for example, if they arrest Mr. T, right? If they do that, that side then opens up, they set a precedent, and then the other side will double down on that deal next time when they're in power, right? And that's the problem with all of this stuff. And it's coming from a time in history when polarization is a thing again. It may pass next year or 10 years from now. But unfortunately, the technologies are still fairly new, and it happens to be a political point in time where things are polarized. You know, I mean, I just got a phone call from China. Yeah, something about the Chinese government. I got a random phone call, right? And some Chinese, and then the rest I can't understand. One little part of it was said in English. You know, and then you hear the administration talking about going to war with them. Not for nothing, but you know, the products coming into this country as a result of this nonsense from China, they have greatly diminished. And I was telling you guys that it took me 6 months to get my favorite lube. Yeah, not the lube for this, fellas. To get your mind out of the government. I mean, out of the gutter, right? And Alexa and whatever. I'm talking about, like, you know, spray lube, you know, chain wax, stuff like that. You guys are embarrassing, you know. I try to help you guys out, and you guys just put your mind right in the gutter. So, Centrum, what is Brett says, Centrum Silver for old engines. We sell. Did you say Rosella? Where I work? Yes, Rotella. I like it. It's good stuff. There's other oils out there that are decent, right? It's not the only one. Semi-synthetics, synthetics, right? They all have. It really depends. You could get into the argument of should you buy an oil with a so-called detergent package in it, right? Zippo hates that language. He just hates it, right? I should get him on here one day, and I'm going to ask him. I could use a different program. I could use like the standard program everybody uses, and I can bring people up. Yeah, I know. Spell corrector, right? See what I mean? You got to train it. And like he hates the whole language of detergent. I get what he's saying, but I think he's missing the point, which is why I want to have him up here to argue this with him, right? Just to argue, just because that's what you guys do. It's just a word, right? Like surfactant. Well, surfactant is a more precise word, but a detergent is just a name for a substance that cleans stuff, right? The argument is, should you be cleaning, for example, let's say your old engine? And one of the fellows just asked me tonight, I think it was on the last video I just did that I released about getting water out of your tank or not getting it in or whatever. He says, Arch, I got a tractor, and if I want to clean out the motor, can I take the air hose and stick it in the dipstick and blow out a lot of the junk? I thought, well, yeah, that's a great idea. But you're going to want to put something thin in there first to sort of wash out. So let's say you pull the plug and you pour a little diesel in there or kerosene, right? For the bad engines, I use like lacquer thinner and alcohol and gasoline. But if it's a good motor, right, I would probably do Kero or diesel. Pour it in there, take the plug out, make sure, nothing can start. Put about half what you would normally put in, that motor. Turn the engine over for, I don't know, don't burn the starter motor out. Turn it over, shut it off. Turn it over, shut it off, a bunch of times, right? Let it sit, let it dissolve, maybe do it a couple more times. Drain it, and then you could put the air compressor in through the top. Same thing with a lawnmower, but I wouldn't go like 120 psi, right? It's not really made for pressure like that in there. 40 psi or whatever. It'll help push out the junk on the bottom, and you'll get all the junk out. It certainly is not a bad idea. I think it's a good idea if you want to do that. So that's like a wash. That's like a detergent. And it'll help remove anything that might be puddling. So this way you got all the diesel out of it. And then pour in a nice oil, and there won't be enough left to like thin it out or anything. I think it'd be good to go. I thought that was like, yeah, you could do that. It's a good idea. Like I said, I got to start writing this stuff down and who these people are, who all yous are, because I get confused. And I just don't think about doing certain things in that moment in time because I'm usually doing something else. And so I got to make like a running list and give credit where credit is due. It's like I often say, some of my best ideas come from other people, right? Because we share, and then maybe you have a different way of doing it and you could add to that and refine the idea a little bit more. So that's why I love all these ideas, and some of them are for videos. I'm like, some of them, there was one the other day, a guy said something, I'm like, that actually deserves a video, even if not a video short, because in 1 minute I can't explain anything really, but like a 10-minute video, something like that, maybe 15 on the outside. Even doing the air thing, get some diesel, find a candidate, something that isn't super dirty, that is just like you've had your tractor or your lawnmower for, 10 years. You've taken fairly good care of it, but you've decided that this year you're going to really amp up your game and going to go over a whole bunch of things. You might want to add something like that to your list. One of the other things I just did on mine, on my Honda, was I changed the gas tank. On the last one I had, I put a black tank on it, and I kind of like the look of it. So I dug out another gas tank, and I cleaned it out really good, and I put the gas tank on. It's black. Swap out the red. But the pull starter is still red, because the pull starter I was going to use when I was cleaning it up, whatever, and I pulled on and it went blammo. It went boing, and I don't know what's wrong with it. I haven't had a chance to fool with it. I probably have another one somewhere, but I have way more red pull starters for Honda than I have black. So it might look stupid, but last year when I went over the machine, I took the tank off and I completely cleaned it out, along with the carburetor and the fuel line. There's no need for a filter. There's a little filter in it. It's one of these little things. And I cleaned all that out. And when I checked it this year, there was no dirt in it. Nothing. So that's something to add to your list, is that at some point, I have a 2-stroke gas can, and I'm almost out of 2-stroke. So I'm going to be going to pick up some fuel soon. And I always pour through a paint filter. And it's an older metal gas can. And what I noticed is that there must have been like a coating of zinc or something on the inside of this. And it's starting to shed. And I've been noticing it in the funnel. And now that I'm basically out of 2-stroke, I need to clean out that can if I'm going to continue to use it. And I need to put something in it to stabilize it. Now, another thing could be is I just need to clean it really well and put some fresh gas in it. It'll be fine for a long time. Another thing is I can use some of that stuff that Taro uses all the time, which I have the website somewhere. I forget what it is. But you can seal the inside of your metal gas cans and gas tanks. The video I just did, actually just said hi to Christy again. She bought a new gas can. The one that she was using after she bought my lawnmower, she didn't realize how much crap was in the bottom of the can. She went and bought gas and stirred it all up and then put it in the nice fresh lawnmower she bought for me. And she had to bring it back. Right? It had junk in there and everything, and I had to clean it all back out again. She went and bought a brand new can. So she has the other can as a backup. I cleaned it out. She bought a brand new one. That might be something at the beginning of the year you may want to consider is, even if you've done it recently, how recent? How many cans do you have? How many machines do you have? When was really the last time you looked at all of that? All at once, right? Because it'll sneak up on you and you'll get junk in there. Like if I had poured that 2-stroke that was in that can into the machines I was working on and wasn't paying attention, and because I always pour through a filter, I was just fixing all of these machines, right? That's it. I'd been doing everything all over again. Especially if I pulled the pull starter, okay, and really pulled fuel in, right? Now it's in your fuel system. So, something to think about. Yeah, I like my Rotella. That'll be good. I'll get caught up on all my oil changes. And for a lot of the stuff that's like the used oil that I get, I often say I use used oil. So I have a squirt can and I keep a couple of containers for what I call my good used oil. The oil that I pulled out of the Honda, it had a friction modifier in it to make it a little bit thicker. It is getting a little older. It has almost no hours on it. And I pulled it out. It's just a little bit dirty, but you can feel it. Like you can tell if the oil is good. So that I pour through a funnel and I put it either in the squirt gun or I leave it in a container and I do a couple of different things with it. You see, I wash all the machines, right? And then they sit in the garage. Usually they come in here. I usually bring them in. And now it's been raining all week, so I wanted them in. Now, I may not get to these machines for a while, and let's say the whole front end, right, the gear assembly and everything, it's been pressure washed, it's cleaned, I get all the boogers out of it. And then I take my used oil and I basically liberate a whole bunch of oil all over the gears, on the shaft. I try to some of it down into the adjusters, right? And it drips a little bit on the ground or whatever, and then I bring it in, and it might sit for a week, 2 weeks, who the hell knows? There's no water on it anymore. The water's dried off. It's moved the water out of the way. It's the first lubrication that it gets. Maybe it's enough to free everything up. Maybe it's not. either way, it's going to come back on the bench at some point, and I'm going to have to put a combination of lubricant. It may still be stuck. I'm probably going to have to put some kind of spray lube, right? Penetrant lube into it. And then I'm still going to have to kind of clean it out, blow it out, inspect it, and put a finish lubricant in it, which might be a dry lube and or a grease or whatever. So starting off with just some used oil on all the adjusters and walking around before I put them in, bring them in, doing everything. Why use brand new oil for that? It's just most of it's going to pee on the ground. And what's wrong with a decent used oil? The other thing I do with it too, if it's actually pretty decent, is those $50 mowers. The oil, most of the time, the oil that's in those things, if there's any oil in it at all, it's garbage. And I don't put brand new oil in unless I have no choice. It's $50. Like I'm lucky if I get $50, $60 for those. I don't do a lot of them. If I have the extra oil, I drop it in. The other thing I notice too is I see a lot of oil gets contaminated with water. And I just did a machine. It was a really nice Toro, but it had water was in the engine, inside the engine, and it had separated out. I dumped it. I put used oil in it, good used oil in it, and I wound up running about 15 ounces of gasoline in the tank because I measure it. Like I have a 10-ounce cup, and I put like almost 20 ounces of fuel in it. I had to run it for quite a while because the water had gotten up into the PC valve system, right? That crankcase vent. And it was up in there. And other than taking that out and cleaning it out, the only other way to get it out is you leave the tube, you don't connect the tube to the carburetor, and you leave the tube hang. And it just makes steam. It drops water down on the deck and it makes steam, and you got to get the engine really hot until all of the water, wherever it's caught inside the motor, has been washed through with the used oil and the water is burned out. And then you dump the oil and then you put your fresh oil in. Like that's an extra step that I have to do with resurrecting a lot of these machines because they've been sitting. Does it damage the engine? Not really, because you've got decent oil in it, and what little bit of oil and water that mix together, it'll work fine. You know, but you got to get it out. Right? You got to boil it out. So that's kind of what I do with the used oil. And it's just to recycle on some level. And because I do so many of these things, right? You start thinking, if it's only one, then it doesn't matter. I was watching one of the guys I like to watch. He's a Kiwi, and he does a lot of restoration of like these really crappy tractors and whatever. He uses them up on his like farm up in the mountains. You know, he and his family have a place up there, and he gets a lot of these like really beat machines. And most of these tractors, when he dumps the oil, a lot of these sort of earth movers and whatever, and just regular farm style tractors, they hold like anywhere between 3-5 gallons or more at a shot. And he holds on to the oil, and he made a comment in the last one that he releases that he wants to get a centrifuge. I've seen that. A lot of Southerners will do that. They'll centrifuge out oil, old oil, and then they do a basic separation and a conversion, and they mix it with diesel, and they burn it. So they make a simple centrifuge. It pukes to the side any metallic or junk. They filter it. They centrifuge it. That cleans it the rest of the way. I think they run it through like another filter, and then they have a mixture that they come up with, and they mix it in with diesel. And the guys that are doing that have been doing that a while and have all this equipment, they're really happy now because the government just screwed everybody on diesel. Right? They really raised up the prices a lot because they don't want it. They don't want you having it. Right? They don't want pumping it. They don't want to do anything with it. They cut Europe off from it. So I thought about that. I'm like, well, what would it take to make a simple centrifuge? They make big ones, like 55-gallon drums and plastic drums and metal drums, and this is how they make these things. again, right, they're mostly farmers. They have diesel engines and everything, and then they have their diesel trucks, and they're coming in contact with, 50 gallons they'll do at a time. One guy had laid out like a tub, and that was the start of the process, and he was showing that. Check that stuff out. You guys might find that interesting. What to do instead of giving it away, right? Because the cost of all these kinds of products are going to go up. For some reason or another, the government thinks that it's a good idea to get rid of it. I don't know what the hell they think they're going to do, right? The world runs on diesel for the most part. Between agriculture and everything else, diesel is the easiest thing to make. Short of gasoline. It is the first product you can make. And nowadays, it burns very clean. You could make a very nice diesel, and then you could make your kerosene and your home heating oil. Meanwhile, the thing that they don't go after is bunker fuel, right? Most of these ships that are out there driving stuff all over the planet, right? You got a t-shirt that's made in like 3 different countries before it comes here and they sell it. You're dragging stuff all over the world. They're burning bunker fuel, which is the most garbage, sulfur-rich garbage fuel you can imagine. And they dump a lot of it, right? They actually dump a lot of it. The sediment in the bottom, they're allowed to dump a certain amount into the oceans of the world. So none of this has anything to do with green, right? It's about money. It's about transferring wealth and deciding what they want to run the world on, right? This war, God knows how much pollution this war is creating. It's untold. You can't even measure it. And now they're talking about, the UK is talking about using depleted uranium rounds over there, right? We already went through that in Afghanistan and places like that. You'll make the land unusable. That's some of the best farmland on the planet. During World War II, the Germans used to cart away the topsoil and bring it back to Germany, right, to reinforce their farmlands and their soils. It's like some of the best farmland, naturally speaking, without having to do anything to it, is right there. And they're going to fire depleted uranium shells, which when they hit an object, they automatically blow up and disperse this uranium into a powder, which gets on everything and contaminates everything. For like ever. It's uranium. And it'll get into the food, it'll get onto people, and it'll be all over everything. And this is Joe's another comment. Let's see. He likes his pool, and let's see. Somebody just commented on one of my videos. Let's see if I can see it. Let's see. Can I read it? I don't know. I like my pool, and George want a chainsaw. He says he likes his pool. I think it was I did one of the ones on the Poland wild thing. One of the worst chainsaws on the planet, right? It's such a piece of crap. You take it apart once and you go to put it together and you strip out all of the screws because they go into plastic. The magneto, right? The coil is mounted to the body, which is plastic. And one of the first things that happens with these things is the coil loosens up and slams into the flywheel, and there's no spark, right? It either gets too close to it or it backs too far away and you get no spark. And then you go to tighten it and the screws strip. And, you can't really put like a bigger screw in, so I shove like a tie wrap in there, I put some Loctite, I get it to tighten down again. And I think on the one that I was doing, as I was putting it together, I had to make an adjustment. I had to take it apart and went to put it together again, and another screw stripped out. So the first time one screw was stripped, and the second time another screw stripped, and then I pulled on the pull cord, right? And the pull cord came out. Not my fault, that was factory. So then I had to go back in there again, and I had a problem with another screw, and then the ones that I had tried to put stuff in, I had to reinforce them again, and disposable, right? You might like it, okay? It's nice. I mean, I like taking a good dump in the morning, right? But does anybody else want that? No, it's a piece of shit. Oh, man, that was raw. It's true, right? It's like $125 or whatever they are, and let's go look one up and see what it costs. Just throwing your money into the toilet, and you don't even get the pleasure. So, The one I just sold, I slapped together. I think I sold it for $50. I got it from a customer. He wanted me to fix it, and then after I fixed it, I think I wanted like $80 or something for the repair because I had to go through a whole bunch of stuff. And he was like, I don't want it now. I'm like, that's not right. You can't commission somebody to do a job and then decide that you don't want to pay. So I tried working on another deal. It sat here for like a season, and then I just decided, right, you know, well, I'm just going to sell it, right? We're going to get it out of here. And I went to go pull on the cord, and the cord came out now, right? It's just junk. Brett says, give me a still. Yeah, still, or even the echoes, right? They're okay, but I have an echo here that I don't know what's wrong with it. When I got it, it was beautiful. It was like brand new, like no wear on the bar. No, there's like the chain is sharp. Won't start. Right? Do a spark test. Needs a coil. Spent $15. I bought a coil. It may be something wrong with the coil, right? Because it's an aftermarket coil. I can't really get it running. I went through the carburetor. HIPAA said that they'll send me a carburetor if I want, but like I've already put time into it and money, and I don't want to keep fooling with this thing. It won't run. It could be the carburetor. So I might try and put a carburetor on. I went through it. I don't see anything wrong, but it doesn't mean anything. It could also be the coil that I bought, because there is a timing adjustment. There's a dwell and a timing adjustment. It's all electronic. It's inside the coil. And if it's not a factory coil, there is the possibility that when you buy a cheap aftermarket coil that the timing isn't quite right in the coil, and it will spark, but it won't light off. This thing's got over 125 pounds, right? I measured it, right? So with compression, it's not compression. You know, these things are finicky, okay? They are better than the pull-ins. They have brass inserts in the plastic. You're not going to strip out screws unless you're doing something wrong. You know, it is a better engine. But, you know, sometimes these things don't work. And if you could only get like $100 used, I forget what I paid for it. I don't know. I'm probably paid $5, $10 for it. So if I bought a coil and I fooled around with it, I already have $25 into it. I'm not going to get any of that back. Okay, I'll be lucky if I made $40 on the damn thing and spent all this time. Throw it out. Yeah, Brett. You know, I have. If you guys have seen, like, my two most popular videos are on coils, and like I dump out like hundreds and hundreds of them. Like, I save a coil. I just grab it. I don't do it so much anymore because I have a really nice inventory of the factory coils, because that's your best bet. And then when I go to use them periodically, what I do is I go through them and I measure them. And for like a Briggs, for example, like a Briggs 190cc, if it's something that's like somewhere, I forget, but maybe like 6,000 ohms, I toss it, right? If it's like 3,000 or 4,000 ohms, whatever, I usually keep it. And I explain in that video, in those two videos, especially in the second video, I explain how you can go to the manufacturer, you can download their sheet and for the coil, and it will give you a range. It'll give you a lot of information from, like, say, point A to point B to point C, and it'll give you what they consider to be a go, no-go range, because it's not an exact number, for tolerance, and that's how you can check to see if your coil is good. Of course, I recommend that you guys, if you're doing anything like what I do, is collect these things and put them in a box and hold on to them, because the factory stuff still goes bad, right? You still get issues, but the factory stuff is factory stuff, and it's going to be most of the time a lot better. So you know, it's definitely worth finding some room to throw this stuff. They're not big. They don't take up a lot of room. So I peel those off. This time around, when I was doing some cleaning, I didn't grab anything because, like I said, I've got a bunch of boxes now set up around here, and I've checked through a lot of them. Occasionally what I do is, as I go into them and I need a part, I sort of upgrade, right? I'll grab a whole bunch of stuff And then when I need a part, I go into the box, whether it's a carburetor or whatever, and I then re-rummage through it. And if I introduce anything new, I look for the better piece, cleaner or whatever, and I look for the pieces that are not as nice, and then I throw out those pieces and I introduce some of the nicer ones. So over time, I'm actually building up my inventory of cleaner and nicer. But even then, sometimes I get a run on stuff. Yeah, he says, okay. That guy, Daniel, says, okay. I said, shoot me a text in the morning, or whenever. I say that to people and I never get a text. They're like, I want your address. I'm like, that's good. That's nice that you want my address. Shoot me a text when you're ready. Why can't I have it now? Are you ready now? You come, it's like 11:30 at night. You coming over right now? No. I'm like, you're lucky I'm even answering you at like 11:30 at night. Like, personally, I think that's really rude. By the way, like, I'm old school. Like, you're texting somebody about an ad at 11:30 at night, even 11 o'clock at night, right? Why are you doing that? Why? Okay. I think etiquette doesn't exist anymore. Like, I understand, like, people get busy and shit. Like, I have friends that, and I'm just going to pet peeve on this a little bit. Maybe I'm too old, right? I didn't grow up with a cell phone, and neither did most of the people that I know. Not all of them, but most of the people that I know. I'll text them, and I don't get a fucking answer. I'll text them again. I'll get another fucking answer. I don't even get a recognition that, yeah, I got it. Now, in the old days, right, if you called somebody and they didn't answer, they probably weren't home. You might have left a message, right? I'm not expecting that I have access to an individual full-time 24/7. I get it. That's an invasion of privacy, right? Unless I know somebody sort of really, really good, I'm not going to call them at 11 o'clock at night unless I know that is an appropriate time for them. Like, they don't mind. Like, that might be, say you have children and they put the kids to bed at 8:30. They take a shower, they relax, and, maybe the only moment they have is 10:30 at night because they're getting ready for bed, and that's when they like to talk adult stuff. Whatever, right? When I was a little bit younger, that might have happened. After work is a bad time, right? Because people just get home, they gotta cook dinner, So if you text somebody, right, I understand that, like, some of my friends don't answer me for a day. They might be busy. But, like, never getting an answer, right? I have one friend that, I'll call him up. I'm like, hey, bro, you want to do something? I got a job for you. You want to work it? Oh, don't ever say that, right? He'll never call you back. So it's like, I just noticed this, like, and it's getting worse. Like, and what is that person most likely doing at that moment in time? My favorite thing is I know people that will not answer me, and then I'll see them post some stupid ass thing on Facebook. So you won't answer me, but you will post some dumb ass thing on Facebook. You're sitting there doing this, right? Oh, did I interrupt? It's just getting weird. Like I just noticed, like, this weirdest shit that people do, and it's like, what are you doing? How do you rate priorities? Anyway, that's my thing. It's just so I don't. Yeah, Brett says, yeah, I don't want to trust. I don't trust a lot of that stuff. I would almost say Echo. For some things, Echo is very good. I've noticed, and other things, it's like, maybe not so much. And by the way, some of those Echo chainsaws are a few $100. I've seen them get as high as like 400 or so. Somewhere in that range. I think that's a lot of money. I think at that point, if you're entering into something in the $400 or $500 range, like that lawnmower, right? That's like $400, and you just spent an awful lot of money for a piece of crap that you can't fix. That is just not acceptable, right? At that point, does consumer affairs get involved? Right? In this country, we have that. When I was younger, if some of you guys remember, I think it was, what was it? Was it Reader's Digest? I think that they would rate, I know there was a Consumer Reports, and they would rate right? You'd get like the lemons, 5 lemons, or whatever. Who's this person now? Who else is this still available? I think he's looking at the two of them. So yeah, 9:30, asking me, is it still available? All right, I'll hit him up later. Suddenly, people are looking because it's getting to that time of year, and they're going to want to start picking up lawnmowers. So my goal is to get about 10 machines roughly together, and then I got a couple of tractors to do. And again, Kohler engines. I got the 2 Scrub Cadets with Kohler Courage engines. Both of them, the motors are garbage. One of them, I think I did a little short here on a live, and Mikey and I started it, and you can't really hear it on the video, but it's pretty scary live. It's banging so loud that I just ran away because I don't want whatever's about to come out of that engine to hit me. And you know what? It could be something stupid and simple, but we won't know until we get up on the table and kind of pull it apart and go through it. The Kohler Courages are pretty much notorious for being junk engines. You can fix them. That remains to be seen. There are some better parts you can get to replace some of the issues with the camshafts and a few other things. But if something's starting to bang, what is it hitting? What is the broken thing that is hitting the good thing? Because at that point, you're damaging something. Now you have 2 broken things. Yeah, let's see. I do aftermarket if I absolutely have to, as an OEM. Yeah, is obsolete. Although I get some good stuff from HIPAA and a few other places. Although I just did a short on that HIPAA carburetor, and I have the fix for it. I just finished a recording yesterday. I used a little bit of to fix the spring on that carburetor. It was just dropping down and it wasn't keeping the choke in. I used a little bit of epoxy to create a bottom to the hole so that the spring couldn't continue to go down, and then I took a very, very small punch and I just collapsed the hole a little bit to crimp down on that spring. Then I put it to the side, and it's a fix. Now you might be thinking, well, you shouldn't have to do that. Well, it was the first time I've ever had to do that. You shouldn't have to do that, right? But it's like, I won't say it's like a little bit less, it's around about a quarter of the price of an OEM aftermarket carburetor, right? So at that point, I'll fix it. Because an OEM carb for that pressure washer is like $100 and change, a little bit over $100. And I cannot make that back. It's not a repair. I'm selling the machine. It's different if somebody comes in and says, look, I got this nice pressure washer and I think it's not running right. Can you fix it? Right? And I give them a price and I say, look, the carburetor's no good. I'm going to give you a tune-up. It's this price for one with an aftermarket carburetor. It's a lot cheaper, and it's this much more expensive price for an OEM carburetor, but I can give you some kind of a guarantee or something. Warranties and guarantees are different. A warranty is usually an extended thing, like an insurance plan, for a period of time. A guarantee is more like I can guarantee my work. I often do guarantee my work on a lot of stuff. On all the more expensive stuff, generally like within a week or whatever, if something goes wrong with anything that I did, bring it back. I will let you know. I'm very honest. If you run, for example, like on a lawnmower, let's say sell a really nice lawnmower for $200, I guarantee a certain amount of it. However, I tell them, but however, if you run over a pole in the ground, I will know. And I don't cover, that's not a warranty. It's a very different thing. The problem with this stuff is that you really need to put it in writing and then hand the person a copy and have them sign it. As soon as you start to talk about guarantees and warranties, it's contractual law. And it has to all be spelled out in contractual law. Otherwise, it's your word against mine. And when all sales are final, there is no word. It's a handshake, good luck. Right? I've done everything to the best of my ability. For the price that you're buying it for, it's agreed upon, that's as is. So when you sell something as is, it's as is. There's no backsies, right? There's no. I had somebody try to rip me off for that, and I got really mad at him, and I sent them packing. You know, and the woman just sat in the car, and you know, she was a part of the whole thing. These are like the paranoid people. They're the ones that are always think that they're the victim because at some point in their life somebody did something to them, and now for the rest of their lives they're the victim. And then what you know, in psychology we pretty much know that people that have that experience, if they don't fucking grow up and mature quickly, they become the victimizers. So the person that got ripped off once, they start ripping people off. They're always looking to see who's trying to get over on them, and the minute they smell anything that doesn't seem right, they don't try to evaluate it. They just go into, I'm going to screw this person. Let me see what I can get out of this guy. And it'll be over like $1, right? And they'll ruin. I said to them, I said, shame on you. Like, really? Like, you have no idea who you're messing with. I have a 5-star rating. Nobody in this area does what I do. You would have had a really good mechanic on your side, but because of your behavior, if I see you around here again, you're going to have to contend with me. Don't ever let me see you around here again. Shame on you, really. Over what? Over a couple of bucks? And on top of it, I took care of you right away. And if that's not the evidence of the type of character and the quality that I give you, because I answered you, most people they wouldn't even answer you. I know people that flip. They will not answer a customer. It's one time you see me, that's it. Never see again. And I answered you, and then I took care of you immediately. And this is how you perceive this relationship, as now it's an opportunity to screw me out of a few dollars for something that has just happened. They justify it. People will justify just about anything if they think they're right. You know, even when they're wrong. Because some people are so insecure because something happened to them once that they can't accept anything other than that conditional scenario. You're out to get me. No, you're paranoid, right? You're out to get me. All mechanics are scumbags. Yeah. Okay. All customers are scumbags. That's not true. Most of the people that buy from me, right, are like salt of the earth, probably like over 90%. Probably some higher than 90%, maybe even. There's probably like 1% of the people that are like this couple. She wouldn't even get out of the car. I don't think she could. And he was like her like little doormat. You could see it. Like you could see the whole thing. She conducted everything and had him do everything while she sat in there. Smack people. Just go away. I don't want to ever see you again. But then again, they're not customers. Like, that's not a customer to me. That's an annoyance. That's a problem waiting to happen when you get people like that. All right, what time is it? Where am I? Let's see. Yeah, puppet. Yeah, a sock puppet. Right. Well, that's like, what's the word they use now? Oh, hold on. I had it. I get a kick out of this cuck holding, right? A cuck. Right, that's the word. And that's a beautiful word because you see a lot of cuckolding going on now, right? And not just with a man to a woman. It's generally referred to as a man that is essentially being cucked by either the system or by a job or by a boss or whatever. It actually is a pretty good word because it's like cutting their thing off, and now they're like a eunuch and they just have to serve, right? You know, like that. You know, bologna, salami. Remember that? No, I remember that. That was bad. That's a trope. We used to have good tropes back in the day, right? Nobody got offended. What happened? Cuckolding, right? People get offended now over the damnest stuff. It's because they're triggered, because they feel like victims. Anybody that gets offended usually it's because they're insecure and they feel like victims. You should never feel like a victim, really. Like I said, I don't think all my customers are bad. Like, you know, that person tried to victimize me, but it didn't really work out. I feel bad for them in a way, because I can't imagine walking through life with that feeling that people are always out to get you, right? Like, you know, not everybody, you're not that important, bro, right? In the world, like, so that, well, they would hate to hear that because then they feel even smaller. But the truth is, right, even with the government and everything else coming after you, here's the thing, there's remedy to a lot of this stuff. I tell this to my daughter, right, all the time. I'm like, it's sort of like driving down the road and you know where all the potholes are because you've scoped it out and you've been careful, and now you go back that way, and maybe there's a new one, but you're on the lookout. You know where most of them are. Do you want to drive into a pothole? If you have a choice, you don't. You don't want to, unless you're going off-road and you're trying to test out some new suspension component and a new tire and all that. That's different. But generally speaking, if you know that there are pitfalls to something, right, you avoid them. And so the more you know, right, the better you can live in a way, because if you say, all right, well, I know that this is a problem now and that's a problem now and I won't do that again. It's the same thing. You know, it's like a lot, by the way, a lot of what's happening in the banking world today is deliberate, but some of it isn't. Some of it is the natural consequence of the last time we had a banking issue. A lot of people decided to stop getting involved in risky business. And they started getting involved in things like bonds and stuff like that that are considered to be less risky. And at that point in time, there was a better yield, and because there wasn't inflation. And then along comes an administration that literally spends more inside of 2 years than in all of the history of this particular country. Well, you're going to have inflation as a result of that. And that makes bonds go in the toilet. And the problem is when you're a company or a bank and you have a lot of these kinds of somewhat safe investments, if people start wanting those investments back, like that money back, right, you don't have it. So, and if you try to cash in a bond before it's ready, you lose the profit that you would have got on it. You don't, and if you have inflation, not only do you lose the profit that you could have got if you had waited, but because the inflation has so devalued the original money that you put in, what you get back is even less than what you originally put in. And now you have all these commitments to these people that want their money back. You don't have enough. And you go belly up. And is that deliberate? Well, the spending of the money and then the raising of the interest rates while the dollar is going in the toilet, yes, that is deliberate. And is it known that that will do that to a bond market and to investments like that? Yes, of course it's known. Of course it is. So these are the consequences of irresponsible government and banking. The banks themselves and the investments initially at the time were a good idea. And had everything been kept in a certain way, you know, how could you foresee going down a bunch of years that you would wind up with the CVID and everything else? You can't foresee that. Those might be plans, but, you know, if you're a banker, like you're not going to see that coming, right? You're just trying to figure out how to make money and how to slice that pie up, right? And still make a buck. You're not going to see government plans. So you wouldn't even be exposed to that unless you were maybe at the top of the heap. So see, here we are, right? And so this spells the death to an already struggling dollar. And then on top of that, right, we lose our petrodollar status, right? So now you have the BRICS nations like Russia and others that are going, and China, that are going to be selling things like oil and products and stuff that's really the world uses, and they're not going to be selling it in dollars. So, you know, that's it. That's the end of our financial system. So yes, we're about to see a serious collapse in the United States. At the same time, well, we're literally supporting the pensions of another country to the tune of several $1 billion. It seems like every couple of months we throw another $1 billion at it. And these are all, it's not just money out of hand, it's promises. It's a laden debt laid upon the people of the United States. For it's like indentured servitude for however long it takes, according to the government. This is going to go on for however long it takes to what? To kill every Ukrainian and to make every American broke what's the other side of that statement? So be prepared, fellas. I'm going to figure out how to get out of here. I want to get some rest, and I'm tired. And hopefully you guys, enjoyed what little bit I had to offer. And yes, there are ways around this. Definitely are. The smarter you are with your money, and the more you pay attention to what's going on. However, if you watch any of the mainstream news, it's just lies. They tell you just enough to confuse you, and the rest is all lies. And you can see it if you wait long enough. So you can't watch that. And if you happen to watch, and I always say this to people, like if you're watching something, they call like conspiracy stuff on the internet, I'd say be careful with some of that. If the presentation looks too polished, it's probably the CIA, right? Or whatever, right? Because there are groups that offer disinformation up on the internet, and they sound intelligent, but things a little too nice and too polished. It looks like a movie production. It probably is, So yeah, have a good night, guys. I'll see you later, Brett. And thanks for watching. And let me see. By the way, I gotta fix something on here. It's one of the reasons why like you don't want to use like I got this computer thing over here, the switcher. I just wanted to mention this. I set some stuff up last time, and when I went to do the video, I wanted to kind of talk over it. And everything is set up the way I had it, right? And I played the video, and even though I said I want the video audio to come through the headset, this way you can't hear it. There's no feedback. And there shouldn't be any feedback tonight because I figured out some issues. And it's all set up to come from here. And so where does that little video play through in the audio? My speakers. Meanwhile, I have not selected any of the speakers. It's coming through the speakers. I think it's coming through one of the speakers on the monitors. So even though you put a setting on, right? The problem with using computers to do streams and everything, as compared to like a hard box, like a piece of hardware, like this thing right here, right? The thing about using hardware, why guys like it so much, is because it only does the one thing that it's supposed to do. That's the beauty of it. It's designed, it's like your phone does photography and videos, but really, it might surf the web okay, but you can't see anything. By the way, I gotta say also, but it's designed to be a phone, and it does text really well, and it does phone really well. The other stuff, not so much. These boxes, they're expensive, but they do those jobs really well, and there's less of a problem. When you set it up, it does what you intend it to do. It can't really do anything else, so it doesn't glitch because you were doing something else. And I wanted to mention one more thing. So I did my first short, and it actually is doing pretty good. I just wanted to mention before I go. So I've been working towards doing a short. My friend Matt Visceral, right? He's been trying to get me to do a live thing for a while, and trying to get me, some of the other fellows were trying to get me to do shorts. So I did the first one. I got to tell you, it is really hard trying to record something that fits in a vertical format. I think it's 9:6 is what they call it. I don't know what the DPI resolution. I don't care. It's really hard. Nothing fits. And you have 1 minute, right? So there's not a lot you can say or show. There's not a lot you can, explain. But it's really hard. And I've been trying to like make some of my videos a little bit shorter, a little bit more concise. I don't mind doing a long format. I did that one where it's like 2 hours and it's a complete restoration of an Aryan snowblower. Okay, you watch it if you want, scroll through it, whatever. I want it all in one piece. A lot of my videos are now like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Once in a while, you're like 35, 40. And I've been working towards like, when I was younger in like 9th grade science, I remember Mrs. Mancini, right? I loved her. She was great. And she really liked me, but she would be like, have her back to the students writing on the blackboard, and she'd hear something and she'd go, Motormouth, is that you back there, Motormouth? Shut it, zip it. Right, that was me, Motormouth. So I'm long-winded, right? So I've been collapsing, and just trying to learn how to be more concise, to work up to the point where I could at least maybe someday shut my mouth long enough to make a video that fits on one of these in 1 minute. And that was like the first shot. So that's the thing. I'll see you guys later. All right, let me see if I can get out with this. I had fun doing it, and there's more coming. All right, let's see. I'm gonna do my global intro. Let's see, intro standby, licensing setup. There's outro. Can I transition 8-10 minutes?